so. I'm pretty hot stuff myself, thank you very much.
If you were a fan of the base game, then I'm pretty sure you'll enjoy this expansion. This DLC might help fill in the gap while we wait for whenever Part 2 comes. In regards to gameplay, Yuffie's combat system feels really smooth and enjoyable. Yuffie has a wide variety of abilities that can tackle any elemental weaknesses with her elemental ninja abilities, which I found super useful throughout the DLC. For the most part, if you enjoyed the base game, then I could see you really enjoying this expansion. I really enjoyed running through the Shinder trials in the post-game with her. The story is covered in just 2 acts, which is kind of expected seeing as it is an expansion. It can take around a few hours to complete, but it won't take you very long, like maybe a day or so. The story fleshes out Yuffie, which is something I was happy to see since in the original PS1 classic, she didn't really get much of a spotlight since she was an optional character, so I'm curious on if we'll get a similar treatment for Vincent or not. The story adds in some context while leaving a lot more questions than I can get into without getting into spoiler territory. All I can say is don't skip the ending credits like I did on my initial playthrough. For the visuals, I will address the DLC and the main game since the graphical improvements were made on the main game as well. The game looks really good and I was happy to see that there weren't as many lackluster textures. Overall, I was impressed to see the faster load times and the addition of photo mode. I feel the DLC was a pretty good addition to the game, although I do feel a bit mixed on it since the series is taking an episodic approach, so the DLC can kind of feel like a tacked on cost for some. If you finish Final Fantasy VII Remake and you're waiting for more, then I can say this DLC might help scratch that itch, but for others that weren't really a big fan of the episodic nature of this franchise, paying an extra $20 might not really sit well with you. If you haven't already, I would say go through some of the Final Fantasy VII backlog, like Crisis Core, although it can be a bit hard to play since you need a PSP unless you find other means to play it. And in regards to reading material, I would suggest picking up Ragna Crimson. It's not exactly similar, but it does have a kind of a fantasy feel to it. It's a bit more of a seinen manga. I really enjoyed it for the darker tones in it, and might just be a good pickup to read. I haven't seen a lot of people talking on it.
Try it. You'll love it. Foreigners and their weak jaws.